I rise before dawn and cry for help. I have put my hope in your word. Psalm 119, 147. Have you ever done everything right and still felt completely overlooked by heaven? You pray, you give, you try to believe, but no matter how hard you try, your life still feels stuck, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and deep down you wonder, why is nothing moving? What if I told you that hidden inside one of the most familiar psalms, one you've probably heard 100 times, there's a code that even most churches never talk about. Not a magic formula, not a shortcut, but a discipline, a sacred rhythm, a spiritual frequency that unlocks something powerful, but only for those willing to meet God before the world wakes up. Psalm 23 is not just a comforting bedtime prayer, it is a battle cry, a divine alignment tool, a map to peace, purpose, and provision. But there's a catch. It only comes alive when you engage with it in the stillness, before 5 a.m., when distractions haven't yet taken control. If you've ever felt distant from God, if you've ever questioned why you remain stuck, if you've wondered why others seem to experience divine clarity while you wrestle with confusion, let me tell you the truth. It's not your fault. You were never taught how spiritual breakthrough actually works. The modern church taught you how to attend, but not how to align. They taught you how to believe, but not how to activate. I'm not speaking to you today as some expert. I'm just someone who got tired of feeling disconnected and decided to do something radical. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day for 30 days. No music, no social media, just me, Psalm 23, and silence. And what happened changed everything. In this video, I'm going to take you inside that journey, and at the end, I'll show you the one verse that flipped my entire spirit, a verse that might be the exact word your soul has been waiting for. Stay with me. This isn't hype, this is healing, and it begins before the sun comes up. If this is already helping you see the Bible in a deeper, clearer way, go ahead and hit the like button. It tells YouTube that this message matters, and it helps more Christians who are searching for answers find this exact video. You're not just helping the channel, you're helping spread truth to people who might really need it today. Most people read Psalm 23 and think of David as a young shepherd boy, sitting in fields with sheep under a starry sky. But what if I told you, David didn't write those words in comfort, he wrote them in conflict. Biblical scholars believe Psalm 23 was written during one of the darkest periods of David's life, likely when he was being hunted by King Saul or even his own son Absalom. He wasn't sitting in peace, he was running for his life. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. In 2005, archaeologists in the Elah Valley, the very region where David fought Goliath, uncovered military ruins and scribal evidence of early Hebrew scripts. Among them were fragments with early formulations of what would later become parts of Psalmic literature. This proves that the Psalms weren't just spiritual poems. They were battle meditations, memorized by warriors and kings. They were strategies, not lullabies. And when David says in verse 1, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," the Hebrew word translated as want is chaser, hazer, which doesn't just mean lack, it means to be diminished, incomplete, or drained. David wasn't talking about material possessions. He was saying, when the Lord leads me, I do not operate from depletion. I don't run on empty, I'm whole. Now pause here. How many of us today, even while claiming faith, are operating from depletion, from emotional exhaustion, from financial fear? David's words weren't poetic comfort. They were a declaration of spiritual positioning. Let's go deeper. Verse 5 says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." In Hebrew, the word for prepare is arak, R-A-K-H, which also means to strategically arrange or set in order for war. This isn't a dinner party. This is God saying, I am setting you up for victory in full view of the very thing trying to destroy you. And the word for table was often understood in ancient Israel as a military supply line, not a dining table. It was where warriors received nourishment, assignments, and rest. So imagine this. David is in exile. He has no throne, no soldiers, no riches, but spiritually, he's fully resourced. Why? Because he aligned himself, even in crisis, with the shepherd. That changes everything. You see, in modern Western Christianity, prosperity is often either idolized or demonized. But in the Bible, true prosperity is about alignment, not accumulation. It's not greed, it's God's order. When David says, "My cup overflows" in verse 5, it's not about luxury. In ancient Middle Eastern custom, an overflowing cup meant the host wanted you to stay longer. God isn't trying to give you just enough. He's trying to show you, you are welcome in my presence. You belong. You are safe here. And when your heart is safe, your mind becomes clear. When your mind is clear, your decisions become wise. And that impacts everything, from your finances to your future. This shows us something powerful. Biblical prosperity is not greed. It is alignment with God's purpose. The idea that poverty is somehow more spiritual has quietly shaped the thinking of millions of believers. It sounds humble. It feels noble. But biblically, it simply doesn't hold up. Let's go back to Proverbs 10:22, a verse we haven't touched yet in this video. It says, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it." That word wealth isn't just about money. It's shalom, wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. And look closely. It says that this kind of abundance doesn't come from endless striving or anxiety. It comes from alignment with the blessing of God. Now fast forward to the New Testament, 2 Corinthians 9:8. Paul writes, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Did you catch that? God gives abundance not so you can stockpile it, but so you can abound in good works. That's the pattern, Old Testament to New, from Proverbs to Paul. Biblical prosperity was never about hoarding. It was about stewardship, about purpose, about being fully resourced to fulfill the assignment God placed on your life. So why do so many Christians still carry this subtle shame around money? Because somewhere along the way, poverty was mislabeled as purity. But let me ask you, when you're constantly stressed about bills, when you're buried in debt, when you're surviving instead of living, are you more free to serve God or less? You see, the enemy doesn't have to destroy you. He just has to distract you. And one of his favorite weapons is financial fear. The truth is, money is not evil. The love of money is. 1 Timothy 6:10 makes that clear. Money itself is neutral. It's a tool, a servant, a resource. And when it's placed under God's authority, it multiplies impact without multiplying pride. Jesus himself spoke about finances in over 30% of his recorded teachings, not because he worshipped wealth, but because he understood its influence on the human heart. He knew how easily money could become a master, but he also knew how powerfully it could serve the kingdom when held with clean hands and a surrendered heart. Prosperity with purpose, that's the standard. God is not intimidated by abundance. He created gold. He designed ecosystems of provision, and he delights in seeing his children walk in overflow, not so they can boast, but so they can bless. This isn't prosperity gospel. This is gospel prosperity. It's a prosperity that flows from purpose, that's protected by character, and that always points back to the source. If this is making sense to you right now, take a moment and comment, "I receive." That declaration might feel small, but it's a spiritual alignment, a way of saying, I refuse the lie of lack. I choose truth. I receive the kind of abundance that fuels my assignment. I have to be honest with you. This tension between faith and finances, it's real. I've felt it. You've probably felt it too. That quiet battle between trusting God and wondering if you're allowed to want more. The guilt when you desire stability. The fear that maybe wanting to be free from debt means you're not spiritual enough. For a long time, I lived inside that tension. I remember nights where I would pray boldly for provision, and then instantly feel guilty for asking, as if God only approved of me when I was surviving. I'd tithe faithfully and still feel ashamed when I asked for clarity in my finances. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you're still there, stuck between two voices, one telling you to have faith and be content, and the other whispering that you were meant for more than just getting by. One of the most honest moments I ever had with God came during a simple prayer. I said, "Lord, I don't want to chase money. I just don't want it to control me anymore." And I felt this peace come over me, almost like a whisper in my chest. "Then let me teach you how to manage what I give you." It hit me. Maybe this wasn't about greed. Maybe this wasn't about doubt. Maybe the desire to be financially stable wasn't a sign of spiritual weakness. Maybe it was the first step toward becoming a faithful steward. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison, and then suddenly promoted to manage the resources of an entire nation during a famine. Do you think God placed him there by accident? Joseph's journey was full of pain, betrayal, and silence, but it prepared him to carry the weight of provision. not just for himself, but for generations. What if your current tension, the wrestling, the fear, the unanswered prayers, is training you for something greater? Let me offer you a simple framework. Ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Am I asking God to provide or to transform how I see provision? 2. Do I believe deep down that lack is more holy than abundance? 3. Have I confused financial struggle with spiritual sacrifice? 4. If God blessed me today with more than I need, would I know how to steward it, or would I sabotage it? Sit with those. Let them challenge you. Let them reveal what's been buried under years of religious conditioning or cultural fear. And listen, if your heart is pounding right now, if your chest feels tight or your breath feels shallow, that's not emotion. That's confirmation. That's the Spirit surfacing what's been hidden. You're not crazy for wanting peace. You're not selfish for asking God to break cycles of lack in your family. You're not worldly because you long to be debt-free. Maybe, just maybe, you're being called to build something stable, so others can stand on what you create. There is no shame in becoming strong. There is no guilt in being a provider. There is no sin in walking in financial clarity. The enemy thrives in confusion. God moves in clarity, and clarity begins with truth. The truth is, God is not afraid of your questions. He's not offended by your desire to break free. He's the one who put the desire there, not to make you rich, but to make you ready. Ready to lead, ready to serve, ready to stop living in fear of money and start living in faith with purpose. So if this message is piercing through the noise today, let it land. Let it hurt a little. Let it open what's been closed for too long. Because this isn't just about finances. It's about alignment, authority, legacy. And if your spirit is responding right now, that's not emotion, that's invitation. I rise before dawn and cry for help. I have put my hope in your word. That verse opened our journey today. And maybe now it hits different. You've seen that the blessing of the Lord isn't about chasing riches. It's about walking in rhythm with Him. You've seen that Psalm 23 wasn't written in a palace, but in the wilderness. That abundance, in God's eyes, is about being fully equipped to fulfill the mission. Not free from pain, but full of purpose. And maybe most of all, you felt it in your own spirit, that this tension between faith and finances isn't a sign of failure. It's an invitation to deeper stewardship. So, what do you do with all this? Let me give you 3 simple actions you can take this week. First, set your alarm. Just once. One day this week, wake up before the sun. Don't scroll. Don't rush. Just sit with Psalm 23, out loud, slowly, and let it read you. Second, ask God one honest question. What have I been afraid to believe about provision? Write down whatever comes up. Don't judge it. Just bring it into the light. Third, look at your money, even if it's hard, not with shame, but with curiosity. Ask, what has God already given me, and what am I doing with it? Stewardship doesn't begin with wealth. It begins with awareness. But even with all of this, there's a question that still lingers, one that shapes everything, one that could change the way we read the Bible and live it. And it's this: does God actually want you to prosper? Or have we misunderstood what prosperity really means in Scripture? That's what we're going to explore in the next video. No hype, no cliches, just truth, raw, biblical, and undeniable. If today's message stirred something in you, if it opened a door you're ready to walk through, I want you to do one thing. Drop a comment right now that says, I'm ready. Not just ready for more information, but ready for transformation. Ready to stop surviving and start walking in divine purpose. Ready to let go of shame, fear, and confusion. Ready to see prosperity not as a prize, but as a position. Not as something to chase, but something to carry with reverence. So go ahead. Comment, I'm ready. And when you do, we step into this next phase together. If you've made it this far, it already tells me one thing. God is awakening something inside of you. That quiet stirring. That's not random. That's alignment. So don't stop here. Subscribe if you want to be part of a tribe that's not chasing shallow promises, but seeking deep biblical wisdom. Hit the like button if this message revealed something new to your spirit. It helps this reach others who are silently searching for the same clarity you're starting to find. And now it's time to take the next step. Click on the video called The Forbidden Biblical Code of Wealth: Why 99% of Christians Never Find It. It's the next chapter in this journey, one that reveals what's been hidden in plain sight and why most believers never activate it. Walk forward with clarity, with courage, with purpose. And always remember, stewardship begins with understanding.